Hi, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. Thank you for clicking on this video. Before I get started, just wanted to remind you to like and subscribe if you want. I make true crime and occasionally commentary content. So if you like that, subscribe. I'm going to be talking about the disappearance of Elaine Park today, so let's get into it. In recent years, there have been many comparisons drawn between the disappearances of Elaine Park and ELISA LAM. Both are North American born females who are very active on social media. Both were college students around the same age. ELISA was 21 and Elaine was 20. Both kept in pretty frequent contact with their parents, which was one of the first red flags in both of their disappearances. There are also many differences between the two girls, specifically that Elisa's body was found just weeks after she disappeared, and her case has been solved. See my previous video for this whole explanation and case. Sadly, Elaine Park's disappearance hasn't been solved, and her body or her haven't been found. Elaine Park was born on September 24th, 1996 in La Crescenta, California, to mother Susan Park. In early publications, it seemed that Susan didn't want her name publicized, but in recent years and in recent online reports it has been, so I'm going to use her name, though I'm not going to go into full depth of her family history. There's not a lot of information publicly available anyways. The person that seems most comfortable in Elaine's life or inner circle, sort of doing media interviews, is a family friend named Rosemary Wheeler. Elaine also has one sibling, a brother. Elaine's hometown, La Crescenta, is an unincorporated community in Los Angeles County. It borders Glendale. In a 2020 interview with Investigation Discovery, Rosemary Wheeler, who is Elaine's family friend, described Crescenta as a tight community. It has a population of under 20,000 people, which is taken from a 2010 census. According to Elaine's mother, her parents divorced about a decade prior to her disappearance, so when she was around 10 years old. It seemed that the divorce and the aftermath was extremely difficult for Elaine, and Susan said that as a result, Elaine suffered from bouts of depression. The extent of Elaine's potential mental health struggles is largely unknown. We don't know if she ever sought professional help or if she was medicated or just in depth what her depression looked like, but her family and friends have remained adamant that Elaine was never suicidal. According to Elaine's Facebook page, which is still up, though she obviously hasn't been active since her disappearance, she attended Los Angeles County High School for the Arts for a year from 2010 to 2011. The school is, of course, a performing arts high school. You basically have to audition and get accepted into the school to enroll there. There are different auditions for various programs, including cinematic art, dance, music, theater, and visual art. I'm unsure which program Elaine auditioned for and was accepted into when she was there for a single year, though she was said to have an interest in dance and theater, so she could have attended for either of those programs. Either way, it appeared that Elaine transferred high schools in her sophomore year. She transferred to Crescenta Valley Senior High, also known as CVHS, where she remained until she graduated in 2014. It is very clear that Elaine was an extrovert due to her Facebook posts. Family and friends have also described her as outgoing and spunky. She appeared to be constantly going out and constantly hanging out with friends, going on various trips with them throughout her teenage years, including attending Coachella in 2013. She was also part of her high school's cheerleading team in her junior and senior years of high school. The cheerleading team, I believe, was called the Songies, because that's what they're titled as in her Facebook albums. It's clear that she was very active in her school's extracurriculars, with cheerleading and more, and also had an abundant social life outside of her high school, and she had a very large circle of friends. She was also an aspiring actress. She had walk-on roles in various TV shows, including Mad TV, Desperate Housewives, Housewives and ER, and movies such as Crazy Stupid Love and Role Models. In her spare time outside of school, Elaine was involved in various theater productions and joined various dance companies. From Facebook posts, it appeared that Elaine had a long-term high school boyfriend, though it appears that they broke up either shortly before they graduated high school or shortly afterwards. And as I said, Elaine graduated from high school CVHS in the spring of 2014. There is not a huge amount of information available about the interim between when Elaine left school and when she disappeared. It's about 3 years. Though there are reports that she did go to college for a while, though there are varying accounts about her college experience. In 2016, Elaine was said to be attending college. I'm confused where she studied, as different reports say different things. Some say that she went to Pierce College, while others say that she went to California State University, Northridge. I believe the latter is true. I think. Either way, while Elaine was studying at college in 2016, she was still living at home with her mother, probably commuting to and from school. California State University Northridge is a bit over a half-hour drive from La Crescenta, and Pierce College is between 45 minutes to a 1-hour drive. It has been reported that after only taking a few classes in college, Elaine actually withdrew or dropped out, though it's never been really explained why she dropped out. In a news release posted to the Help Find Elaine Park Facebook page, it is said that Elaine was looking forward to attending Pierce College, which is a community college located in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles, California. So perhaps she initially attended California State University Northridge in 2016, but dropped out for whatever reason, and then was planning on attending Pierce College in the upcoming future. Either way, at the time of her disappearance, Elaine wasn't currently attending college or school. She was said to be employed at a local restaurant, though she lost her job there shortly before her disappearance. Sometime after high school, Elaine met a boy or man named Divine Compare, also known as Div to his friends. Much of Elaine's relationship with Divine is unknown, including how they met and how long they were dating for, or when their relationship began. Elaine's mom, Susan, said her daughter was private about her relationships, meaning she didn't know much about the details of Elaine and Divine's relationship, though after Elaine's disappearance, Susan got sort of the intel from Elaine's close friends, who said that Divine and Elaine were very on and off and their relationship was very turbulent. Divine is the son of a wealthy film producer, Shaquem Compere, and his mother is Tanya, and he owns a production company with Queen Latifah called Flavor Unit Entertainment. At the time of Elaine's disappearance, Divine was living with his parents in a gated community located in Calabasas. It was located in 2600 Delphine Lane. So in January 2017, it seemed that Divine and Elaine were in one of their off spells, but towards the end of the month, the couple had sort of reconnected or rekindled their friendship/relationship. Reportedly, Divine reached out to Elaine and the pair made plans for her to stay over at his parents' house for the night on January 27th, 2017, which was a Friday. Elaine drove to his house in her 2015 Honda Accord and arrived between 7 and 8 p.m. Divine said she arrived closer to 8. The couple hung out inside the house for a couple hours before leaving to see a movie, or Elaine sent her last text to her mother around this time stating that she was going out to a movie with Divine. Though they could have taken Elaine's car who drove there, the couple took an Uber to the movies actually. which may be because they were intoxicated. It's unclear. Who knows? This is just me speculating. But they left his house around 10:30 p.m. in an Uber. They went to a nearby movie theater and saw a 10:45 showing of XXX, The Return of Xander Cage, which has a runtime of just under 2 hours. The couple took an Uber back from the movies, arriving back at Divine's home around 1:30 a.m. Both Uber drivers who drove them to and from the movies said that the couple was acting completely normal and they seemed to be enjoying each other's company. Elaine was planning on staying the night at Divine's, so sometime after they returned home from the movies, the pair went to sleep. After this, all the public really has is Divine's testimony about what happened in the morning of January 28th. Divine said that around 4 a.m., Elaine abruptly woke up and started having what he describes as a panic attack. According to his account, she was frantic and shaking. Rosemary says that Divine said that Elaine was singing and dancing. Apparently, Elaine never told Divine why she was stressed or why she was panicking. She just told him that she wanted to leave. Divine said that he tried to convince Elaine to stay, but she refused, and then she got dressed and left his house around 6 a.m. It does seem a little weird to me that Elaine woke up around 4 a.m. So the couple talked for around 2 hours and he still didn't give a reason, or he still didn't get a reason from her why she was upset. Also, she was displaying odd behavior such as singing and dancing, which does seem a little bit unusual for a panic attack. I don't know what he means by that. Anyways, Elaine is seen on the compares home security footage leaving the household around 6:05 a.m. and the footage, she seems completely normal, doesn't seem to be frantic or panicking in any way, doesn't seem to be behaving oddly. She just leaves alone and gets in her 2015 Honda Accord and drives away in a manner of a couple minutes, though you don't really actually see her get into her car. It's off camera. Apparently, no one was seen on the security footage leaving the house afterwards, so Divine didn't reportedly leave the house. Then something a little strange happens. Since the compares live in a wealthy gated community, they have a license plate reader at the front of the gated community, which records the license plate of any car entering or exiting the community. So if Elaine had immediately drove off, she would have been recorded on the license plate reader within a minute or two. but she is caught on the reader at 7:14 a.m., which is over an hour after she was said to have left Divine's house, though the police say this might just be a timestamp mistake and that it was actually 6:14 a.m., which is still a 9-minute gap. This leaves a lot of strange possibilities. Either she left the community 9 minutes after she left Divine's house, or an hour later. So what was she doing during this time? Additionally, since it was still dark outside when her car was caught on the license plate reader, you can't see who's in the car or who's driving the car, so it's not even known if it's Elaine who is driving the car or if there is anyone else in the car with her. The house security footage is the last time Elaine is seen, and Divine was the last person to see her. So Elaine's mother began to start worrying the following day on Saturday, January 28th, when Elaine stopped responding to her texts and answering her phone calls. It wasn't unusual for Elaine to stay out for a night or two, as she was an adult and she was described to be free, so she went out and about freely. Her mom and her did agree that Elaine would update her mom on her whereabouts frequently so that Susan wouldn't really worry about her daughter. Apparently, when Susan tried to call Elaine's cell phone, sometimes it would ring 2 to 3 times and other times it would go straight to voicemail. The real red flag came when Elaine stopped being active on her various social media accounts. Like any other young teenager / young adult, Elaine was said to be very attached to her phone and very active on social media. According to her family friend, Elaine was the most active on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram, but after she left Divine's house, all her social media accounts went dark. I tried to find any of her social media accounts, but I believe they all have been removed by now. I guess there was no suspicious activity on any of those. It was just weird that she stopped posting. Susan began to worry more and more about her daughter's safety, so she initially contacted Glendale Police on either the Saturday or the Sunday. It's never really clarified which day she contacted, but was allegedly told that as Elaine was an adult, they weren't going to start investigating and that she'd probably be back soon. When there was still no word from Elaine, Susan called the Glendale Police Department again on Monday, January 30th, and officially filed a missing persons report. Since Divine was the last person to see Elaine alive or before her disappearance, he and his parents were immediately interviewed by police. Glendale police have repeatedly reported that the Compere family was extremely cooperative with them. The initial interview is probably when Divine informed police about Elaine's reported or alleged panic attack that she reportedly had before she went missing. Though Susan and Elaine's family sort of immediately believed that her disappearance involved foul play, police initially said that they didn't have enough evidence to sort of treat it as an involuntary missing persons, but this changed mere days after Elaine was reported missing. 5 days after she was last seen on February 2nd, we were able to ping Elaine's phone to a cell tower in Malibu, so they went to the area to hopefully find Elaine. Instead, they found her empty car with the doors unlocked and the keys still in the ignition. Her car, which was a charcoal gray 2015 Honda Accord, was found parked adjacent to Coral Canyon Beach on Pacific Coast Highway, which was south of Coral Canyon Road. This was an area that Elaine wasn't known to frequent, and she had no real reason to be there. Like, she had no real friends or didn't know anyone in that area. This area is around a 20-minute drive from Divine's house. The police, of course, immediately did forensics or performed forensics on the car and found no sign of a struggle, no forced entry, or no blood. However, all of Elaine's belongings were in clear view. Her laptop, backpack, and phone were sort of strewn on the front seats, and there was cash in full view just laid out in the back seat of the car. As I said before, Elaine's car keys were in the ignition when her car was found, and it was sort of half on in an electrical on position. So the car battery was dead when her car was found. According to Google, a car battery takes an average of 4 to 7 hours to die when the keys are in the ignition, meaning that the car had been there for a little bit, but maybe not the entire time. Based on the discovery of her car and the sort of strange way it was left, police were now considering Elaine a critical missing person and considering foul play as maybe a potential explanation. For the next 3 days, the Glendale police did an extensive search of the nearby area where her car was found and its surrounding areas. The police also brought in 4 bloodhounds and cadaver dogs, but they didn't signal to anything. They also brought in divers and did 2 searches of the ocean, but this also brought nothing. The Glendale police suspended their search of that area after 3 days when they found nothing. They were unable to find any further evidence that Elaine was there or her body or anything. Glendale's Police Sergeant Robert William, who seemed to be in the forefront of the case, said that, quote, "They couldn't rule foul play in or out because we don't have enough evidence to do so." Police were said to quickly run out of leads in Elaine's case, though they did very quickly rule out Divine and the Compere family just a few weeks after Elaine's disappearance. They never really publicly explained why they ruled them out. All they have said was that they were extremely cooperative with the investigation. The Park family weren't satisfied with the Glendale police's investigation into Elaine's disappearance, so they hired a private investigator named Jaden Brandt. He began to investigate the case and has apparently put forth multiple potential theories to the Glendale police, though it's unclear if those leads or theories led anywhere. The Park family and friends also created a tip line and a website where people could submit potential tips anonymously, though they have said that they haven't received any crucial information or tips that have led anywhere. There is also a Facebook page called Help Find Elaine Park that is run by Park's family friend Rosemary Wheeler, which is still active to this day, though it is not being posted as much on because there hasn't been a lot of new information. With the help of various donors, the Park family was able to put forth a fairly large reward. It was initially $500,000 but was later reduced to $140,000 in hopes of garnering new leads that would help them discover what happened to Elaine or where she was, though unfortunately this didn't help garner any new leads or helpful tips. In September 2017, Sergeant Williams said that, quote, "The case remained open but there were no new leads to investigate." Still deeply unsatisfied with the Glendale Police Department's investigation into her daughter's disappearance, Susan Park went before the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors on September 12, 2017 to ask them to transfer the case from the Glendale Police Department to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Susan said that she believed that the Glendale police weren't following up on and examining leads thoroughly. She has also expressed repeated disappointment about them not taking Elaine's case seriously enough, including them dismissing Divine very early on, not searching the Compere's property, etc., etc. According to Sergeant Williams, these searches and further investigation can only happen when the case is deemed criminal and there is insufficient evidence to consider it a criminal investigation, according to him. So it seems that Elaine's family and friends have sadly hit a wall in her disappearance, as there hasn't been a whole lot of new information released in recent years. So I'm going to move on now to potential theories that are circulating in her disappearance. The first major theory that is circulating online is that Elaine Park completed suicide on January 28th, 2017 because of Divine's reports of Elaine suffering from a panic attack that morning and her history with depression. However, Elaine's family and friends have repeatedly denied these speculations. They say there is no evidence that Elaine was suicidal. They said that Elaine had things that she was looking forward to, such as returning to college, and she had never expressed any intent to them or anyone else about wanting to harm herself. Though it is still a possibility, as no one truly knows someone's mental state unless you are in their body. It's also unknown if maybe it was sort of a drug reaction or some sort of a psychosis that maybe led to an accident of some sort, similar to what happened to ELISA LAM, though she was not on any drugs at the time, of course. Susan Park has said that Elaine sort of took drugs recreationally, nothing serious, but this could be a potential in the case, as her body's never been found, so there hasn't been any toxicology reports to confirm or deny this. I don't know if Divine has said anything about whether he took anything with Elaine. The family state the same thing that they did for the suicide theories as they do for theories that Elaine ran away. Susan Park said that Elaine had no history of running away and that she hadn't told anyone close to her that she wanted to run away. Also, she didn't really have the means to run away, and the circumstances of her disappearance sort of go against this. She left behind all her belongings in her car, so if she ran away, why would she leave this all behind? She left a bunch of cash in the back seat. Why would she do this if she wanted to run away? The next theory is human trafficking. Of course, this is always a possibility in cases where the circumstances around a disappearance are so strange, especially when considering that the potential victim is as young and beautiful as Elaine was. However, P.I. Jaden Brandt said that he has investigated this theory extensively and there is no evidence that this is a case, and they don't believe this is the case. The next and really final theory in this case is that Elaine's disappearance was involuntary and it was a result of foul play. As I said, Elaine's family wholeheartedly believe that she was a victim of foul play, though they aren't sure of the specifics, of course. There is a lot of speculation about Divine Compare, since he was the last person to see her alive and his relationship with Elaine was turbulent, as they were allegedly constantly on and off. It is also strange how sort of vague Divine was about what happened to Elaine in the last hours that she was seen. If she woke up at 4 a.m. and then left at 6 a.m., that means they spoke for at least 2 hours or were at least in close proximity of each other, but he hasn't really offered a detailed account of what happened and wasn't able to say why she was distressed or upset unless police are withholding this information. He also does come from a pretty wealthy family and money can be very persuasive. There's a long and undeniable history of police officers being bribed in cases. Though there is no clear evidence that this is happening here, it is still worthy of speculation. Divine's family also didn't seem to help in the search for Elaine at all that we know of. They never offered to donate any money to help them, though they have a lot of income to spare. Additionally, in a reply from January 2020 on the Help Find Elaine Park Facebook page, which I presume is still being run by family friend Rosemary, they said that Divine has never helped the Park family with the investigation and has not reached out or stayed in contact with the family. Of course, this is all speculation, and it could be a very real possibility that Divine and the Compare family have nothing to do with Elaine's disappearance, as there hasn't been any evidence put forth linking them to anything, and police state that they were cooperative and that the security footage proves that Divine or no one from the house followed Elaine out after she left at 6 a.m. Elaine could also be a victim of a completely different person or a stranger. She was maybe in a vulnerable position, which would have made her more susceptible to being victimized. There is some speculation online that other murders and disappearances in the Malibu area may be related to Elaine's disappearance or involved in a larger police cover-up of the LAPD or Glendale Police. On August 10th, 2018, 21-year-old Matthew Weaver Jr. went missing in the same area as Elaine. His car was also found abandoned. He seemed to vanish into thin air, and his family has also expressed difficulty and frustration with the police, though they are working with the LAPD. Whatever happened to Elaine, the circumstances around her disappearance are very strange. She seemed to just vanish into thin air. 4 years later, she is still being considered a critical missing person. Elaine's mother, Susan, has repeatedly spoken publicly about how painful and hard these recent years have been, but her family and friends continue to work tirelessly to find Elaine. I am going to give a description of Elaine and where you can contact if you have any information on the case, because as Susan Park has said, someone knows something. Elaine, who was 20 years old at the time she went missing, would be 24 years old now if she is still alive. She was 5'4" and weighed around 125 pounds. She is of Korean American descent. She had long brown hair almost to her waist, and the ends were dyed blonde at the time of her disappearance. She has 4 visible tattoos: a dagger on her lower right arm, a rose on her left shoulder, and a moth and cow skull on her upper left arm. Her ears and nose are pierced. I believed that she has a septum piercing. She was last seen wearing jean shorts, though she was possibly wearing gray sweats over them, and a white sweatshirt/hoodie. If you have any information, you can submit it to elainepark.tips or call 1-800-551-3080. The Glendale Police Department, who are still currently in charge of their case, or this case, their number is 1-818-548-4911. Thank you for watching this video, and subscribe and like if you liked it, and hopefully we will get answers in this case and justice for Elaine.
I am pleading for the public's help. All we want to do is to find Elaine, nothing else. I will never give up hope. With your assistance and support, I pray that someone will come forward and bring my daughter home to her family and her friends before her 21st birthday. We are the voice of Elaine, for Elaine, to seek justice, and she needs our help. She needs every single one person's help to find her. This is my only hope. Everyone involved in helping her, finding her, is my only hope.